Hey guys, this is part 11 of the story. In this story, our favorite blonde is the wielder of Rinnegan, who also happens to be the Six Path Sage's reincarnation. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share with your friends. Now, let's begin. Konoha In the busy streets of Konoha we find 14 girls walking calmly and carelessly. All of them had bags on their hands, meaning they had been shopping. One of the girls had blonde hair tied in a ponytail and was wearing purple clothing. The other girl had an unusual hair color, pink. Her clothes were also of the same color. The last girl had black hair tied in two buns and brown eyes. She was wearing Chinese-style shirt with dark green pants. That was fun, Ino said to her friends. It had been a while since they managed to hang out all together. With all their team training it was hard to snuggle a couple hours of fun all together. Yes. We haven't hanged out since the Chunin exams, Sakura replied. Sasuke-kun and Kiba were busy today, so I'm glad we took this chance, Sakura said. With Sasuke being constantly trained by Kakashi and Kiba being trained by his clan, she sometimes felt out of place when with her team. Well, I normally don't have much trouble with my team. Shikamaru is a lazy ass, how he got promoted is beyond me, Ino said, shaking her head. And then there is Choji, who is always eating. All they want is to be left alone, and Asuma-sensei doesn't give much work after team meetings, so I have plenty of free time, Ino happily said. Lucky you. My team is full of freaks, Tenten said, sighing. Gai-sensei and Lee are both freaks, always yelling about the flames of youth. I swear they could pass as father and son, Tenten said, shaking her head. At least there's Neji-kun, Tenten said, a bit happier now. Neji-kun is it? Ino asked, teasing her friend. It was a known fact that Tenten didn't openly chase after boys as she was more devoted to training. WWH what? Tenten asked, stuttering and trying to hide her blush. You have a crush on Neji. Admit it, Sakura said, joining the fray. Fine. I like him, Tenten said, crossing her arms. Tell us more, Ino said, giddy, wanting some juicy details. Well, he's very cute and strong. I had a crush on him since the academy, but he was always a jerk, but since the Chunin's exams he's way better, Tenten said with stars in her eyes. I don't know. I just want to be around him, and since he forgot about that fate crap and I enjoy his company even more, Tenten explained. Ah, Ino and Sakura fawned. They finally got to crack her shell. I guess I owe Hinata a thank you, Tenten said as she reflected on Neji's match against Hinata. And then there is Hinata and Naruto. Who would have figured out that the supposed dead last loudmouth would have hooked up with the supposed shy girl who had a crush on him, Ino said. They hid their relationship from everyone, Sakura said. All the time he kept pestering me for dates was nothing more than lies, Sakura said, sighing. Don't tell me you are going for Naruto now, Ino asked in disbelief. No. I'm faithful to my Sasuke-kun, Sakura instantly said. Your Sasuke-kun? Ino asked with a tick mark. Alright girls, Tenten said before this could escalate and they started bitch slapping each other in the middle of the street. But you got to admit, they make a cute couple, Tenten said. Hinata and Naruto made a very cute couple. Naruto was loud and Hinata was quiet. They were perfect for each other like yin and yang. They do, Sakura said, agreeing with her friend. Senju Hinata doesn't have a bad ring to it, Sakura said, smirking. Senju Naruto, head of the Senju clan. No wonder Sasuke-kun never got along with him, Sakura said, laughing. He's the talk of the village. He even has a fan club now. I heard he took down the Kazekage and 200 shinobi with a single jutsu, Tenten said, shocked that a genin could pull that off. Quote, he defeated that Sanbiju and then went to help Hokage-sama against Orochimaru, Tenten explained. She only met Naruto in the Chunin exams and he was the supposed dead last without any talent. I still don't believe that Naruto belongs to the most powerful clans in the world, the Uchiha clan and the Senju clan, Ino said, shaking her head. He's directly related to 3 of the 4 Hokages and now his grandmother was named the 5th Hokage, Ino explained. She still couldn't believe that Naruto belonged to the Senju clan. Looks like all that yelling about becoming Hokage ran in his blood after all. Grandmother? Tenten asked. You don't know? Ino asked and Tenten shook her head. He's the grandson of Senju Tsunade, Ino explained, and Tenten squealed like a fangirl. Really? Tenten asked with stars in her eyes. Yes. What's the big deal? Ino asked, not sure as to why Tenten would react in such way. Tenten scratched the back of head in shame of such reaction. She squealed like a fangirl. It's just. Tsunade-sama is my idol. I want to be strong like her, Tenten said and Ino nodded. Maybe you can ask Naruto to introduce you to her, Sakura explained. I'll ask him when they get back. Tenten replied, happy that her role model and idol was coming to the village again, and to be the 5th Hokage nonetheless. How about we hit the hot springs? Ino asked. All they had team training in the morning and after a few hours of shopping a nice bath would relax them. I agree, let's go, Sakura said, and they all head towards the hot springs for a soothing bath. It was their luck that Jiraiya was out of town. Not that he would peek on them. Konoha's north gate. 5 figures could be seen walking calmly through the wooded forest outside of Konoha. Well, 6 figures if you count the pig that was being carried in the arms of one of the figures. They were none other than Senju Tsunade, Kato Shizune, Jiraiya, Hyuga Hinata, Senju Naruto, and of course the pig Tenten. They had the same clothes except that Naruto now proudly displayed his new necklace. Naruto now had an emerald necklace on top of his black Anbu chest plate. His necklace was glistening and reflecting the sun rays that escaped through the trees, making it shine. The necklace that once belonged to Senju Hashirama was now as Naruto's possession. It is said that it was worth 3 mountains of gold. Although the necklace had very high value, he wore it because it belonged to his clan and grandfather. It was a family heirloom, so to speak. They arrived at the gates and checked in with the gate's eternal guards Kotetsu and Izumo. Jiraiya, Senju Naruto and Hyuga Hinata returning from successful mission with Senju Tsunade and Kato Shizune, Jiraiya said, waking the guards from their slumber. Oink oink. And the pig Tenten, Jiraiya completed. It's good to see you again, Lady Tsunade, Kotetsu said. Tsunade hadn't been in the leaf in over 15 years. It's good to be back, I suppose, Tsunade replied, and they continued walking. I guess I'm heading towards the Hokage Tower, Tsunade said. Alright, see you later, Ba-chan, Naruto said and started walking off when Tsunade called him back. Where are you going? Tsunade asked. Home, Naruto flatly replied. No you are not, Tsunade said, crossing her arms. I'm not, Naruto asked, confused. No. You are coming to live with me in the Senju compound, Tsunade said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Wasn't half of the Senju compound destroyed when the Kyuubi attacked? Naruto asked, confused. My bad, Kurama said, and Naruto's sweat dropped at the casual response. Yes, but everything was rebuilt, someone answered. They all turned around to see Hiruzen walking towards them, smoking on his pipe. Tsunade-chan, it's good to see again, Hiruzen said, hugging her old student. Not that he would tell her she was old. He hadn't seen her or heard from her since the last time she was in the village, which was over 15 years ago. You too, sensei, Tsunade replied and stepped back, grabbing him by the collar. But you have a lot to explain, Tsunade said, almost growling. What are you talking about? Hiruzen asked, confused. She was being all nice and now she was glaring daggers at him. You sent a letter telling me that Naruto was dead, Tsunade said, fuming. No, I did not, Tsunade. You were mistaken, Hiruzen explained. How about we take this to the office? Jiraiya stressed as the conversation was starting to get loud. Fine, Tsunade said. Hokage's office explained Tsunade-chan. Hiruzen said, trying to get to the end of this. I got a letter from you with your signature and stamped saying that Naruto didn't survive the attack, Tsunade explained, and Hiruzen sighed. I never sent you any letter. I tried to find you and even told Jiraiya to try and get a hold of you, Hiruzen explained, and Tsunade scoffed. Then how do you explain the letter? Tsunade asked. It was obviously fake. Do you still have it? Hiruzen asked, and Tsunade shook her head. Without it we will most likely never find the culprit, Hiruzen sighed. It doesn't matter anymore, Naruto said. I have her now and that's the only thing that matters, Naruto explained, and Hiruzen smiled. At least Naruto got some family back. By the way, Naru-chan, you didn't answer about living with me. Tsunade asked. One condition, Naruto said, and Tsunade nodded for him to go on. Hinata-chan gets to live with us, Naruto said. Of course, but no funny business until you are older, Tsunade stressed, and they both blushed. Besides, it will make it easier for me to teach her if she's living with us, Tsunade explained, and Naruto nodded. Well then, it's decided. I'm going to pack then, Naruto said, and was about to walk off with Hinata when he was interrupted again. Too bad you can't go, Naruto-kun. You are the clan head of the Senju, remember? Hiruzen asked, and Naruto nodded. I'm summoning the council and as such, you must attend, Hiruzen explained, and Naruto paled. He never thought of that, and being a clan head made it mandatory to attend every council meeting. Fine. Let's get this over with, Naruto replied and turned to Hinata. How about you go home and get started and I'll join you when this is over? Naruto asked. Might as well. See you later, Hinata replied and pecked his cheek before leaving. Anbu, Hiruzen called out and an Anbu dropped from the ceiling kneeling in front of him. Summon the council, Hiruzen ordered and the Anbu vanished. Council meeting Half an hour later everyone was gathered at the council meeting. All of the clan heads were there including the new head of the Uchiha clan, Sasuke. We are gathered here today so I can formally present my successor. Again, Hiruzen said. I named Senju Tsunade as my successor to the place of Godime Hokage, Hiruzen stated and waited for the council's reaction. I, Aburame Shibi, head of the Aburame clan, support the decision, Shibi said getting up from his position and addressing the Hokage. I, Hyuga Hiyashi, head of the Hyuga clan, support the decision, Hiyashi said. I, Nara Shikaku, head of the Nara clan, support the decision, Shikaku said. Quote, I, Yamanaka Inoichi, head of the Yamanaka clan, support the decision, Inoichi said. I, Akamichi Choza, head of the Akamichi clan, support the decision, Choza said. I, Uchiha Sasuke, head of the Uchiha clan, support the decision, Sasuke said. I, Senju Naruto, head of the Senju clan, support the decision, Naruto said giving thumbs up at his grandmother. I, Mitokado Homura, personal advisor, support the decision, Homura said. I, Udatain Kaharu, personal advisor, support the decision, Kaharu said. I, Shimura Danzo, personal advisor, reject the decision, Danzo said but one paid much attention to him. I, Haruno Mebuki, head of the civilian council, support the decision, Mebuki said. Then it's decided, the Hokage said rising from his seat. Senju Tsunade, you are hereby appointed as Godime Hokage, Hiruzen said handing her the hat. Thank you sensei, Tsunade said placing the hat on her head. Keep it warm for me, Naruto said and everyone, minus Sasuke who was too cool for that, chuckled at the comment. I promise that from now on I'll protect this village from all enemies, foreign or domestic, for I am Senju Tsunade, Godime Hokage, Tsunade said and everyone bowed to the new Hokage. Everyone left the room soon after Tsunade's proclamation and Naruto turned to the pervert who had been listening to the meeting without anyone knowing except Naruto who was a censor. Ero Senin, Naruto said and Jiraiya stepped out from the shadows. Were you busy? Naruto asked. I was planning on doing a bit of research but what do you need? Jiraiya asked. I was planning on fixing Gaara's seal today but I'll need your help since we will need to rebuild it completely, Naruto said and Jiraiya nodded. He decided it was better to fix the seal now since Shukaku might be unleashed and destroy the hot springs. Ba-chan, can we get a release form for the Sand siblings? Naruto asked and Tsunade turned to Hiruzen so they could catch up on the events. After half an hour of explanations Tsunade turned to Naruto. If you say they will behave I see no harm, Tsunade explained and signed the necessary documents. Here, Tsunade said and threw him 3 Konoha Hittites. Where will they be staying? Naruto asked and Tsunade pondered. How well do you know this Gaara kid? Tsunade asked. I consider him a brother. He went through the same things as I did. All the hate the villagers threw at him, Naruto sadly said. Well them to the Senju compound there is more than enough space for them, Tsunade said. Awesome. See you later, Naruto said and hugged Tsunade. Let's go then, Jiraiya said and both left the Hokage tower heading towards the I&T department. Have you decided on the seal? Jiraiya asked. I think I'll use the same one I have, the 8 trigrams seal, Naruto said and Jiraiya nodded. His seal was one of the best around after all. I&T department Jiraiya and Naruto quickly arrived at the I&T department and easily got in flashing the papers to the Anbu guarding the doors. They walked down the stairs until they reached the lower levels where the cells were. They walked past a few of them until they reached the last one where Gaara and his siblings were. Hey Gaara. I'm back, Naruto said waking up Temari and Kankuro from their sleep. Uzumaki Naruto, Gaara said looking at Naruto. It's Senju Naruto now. I'm taking my family name. Naruto and Temari's eyes popped out of her sockets. You are a Senju? Temari asked with her eyes wide as saucers. Yup, Naruto replied and mentioned the Anbu to unlock the cell. But you have the Sharingan, Temari refuted. I belong to both the Uchiha and Senju clan but I chose the Senju name. Naruto explained and the Anbu unshackled Gaara. Where's Baki? Naruto asked. He already was released and went back to Suna. We decided to stay with Gaara until he was released, Temari explained and Naruto nodded. Let's go Gaara, we are taking care of you seal, Naruto said and Gaara stared at him. What? Naruto rhetorically asked. I promised I would take care of the seal and I always keep my promises, Naruto explained and Gaara slowly nodded. Where are we doing this? Jiraiya asked. At the Nami-K's compound. My father has a room in the basement completely filled with seals that block everything. That is where I trained using the Kyabe's chakra, otherwise the village would riot when they felt the chakra, Naruto explained and Jiraiya nodded. Nami-K's. Don't tell me the Yondaime was your father. Kankuro asked and Naruto nodded confused. I guess you didn't hear the news. I tell you everything later, Naruto explained tossing them the Hittites. They quickly threw the Suna's ones away and placed the new ones. Congratulations. As of now you are all genin of the leaf, Naruto said chuckling while Kankuro growled at being genin. Nami-K's house. All of them arrived at front gates and Naruto swiped his finger to unlock the seals. They all entered the house to find Hinata running around with a few shadow clones packing the most important stuff. Hey Hinata-chan. Want some clones to help? Naruto asked. Sure, Hinata replied and Naruto made 10 shadow clones. Each clone grabbed one Hinata and kissed her before going to work. Jiraiya never saw so much action in the same place and started scribbling furiously in his notebook. This way, the original Naruto said and led them all to the basement and into some room. They opened the door and all of them stepped inside. It was a large round room, at least 10 meters wide. The walls were littered with seals and in the middle of the floor was a kanji circle with the most complex seals around it anyone had ever seen. Stay here. And don't interfere, Naruto seriously said to Temari and Kankuro who gulped and quickly nodded. Gaara. Remove your shirt and lie down in the center of the circle, Naruto explained and Gaara did as he was told. Do you want the new seal in any special place? Naruto asked and Gaara nodded. Can I have it in the stomach like you? Gaara asked and Naruto nodded. Ready Gaki? Jiraiya asked and Naruto nodded. Naruto placed his hand on Gaara's stomach and channeled chakra converting it to ink. The ink erupted from his hand and spread through Gaara's stomach. Hake no Fuin Shiki, Naruto said and all the kanji started slithering into a focus point. The ink started to spin around Naruto's hand and started forming a spiral. Soon after the spiral was formed and remains of the ink formed scribblings around the spiral finalizing the seal. The easy part is done, Naruto said as he completed the new seal. Now all they needed to do is crack the old seal and switch Shukaku into the new seal. You hold the old seal while I transfer Shukaku over to the new one, Naruto said and Jiraiya nodded. At the sidelines Kankuro could only gulp when he heard Naruto saying he was going to switch Shukaku between seals. What if he escapes? Kankuro thought scared out of his wits. Naruto already defeated once he can do it again. I hope, Kankuro thought as Naruto was preparing for the final procedure. This might feel a little uncomfortable, Jiraiya said and channeled a great amount of chakra into his 3-element seal completely shattering it. Shukaku's chakra instantly started bubbling but Jiraiya managed to keep it contained around Gaara's neck. Do it, Jiraiya said and Naruto placed one hand on Gaara's neck and another on his stomach and he began transferring the chakra to the new seal. Fuin, Naruto said and funneled all of Shukaku's chakra into the new seal. The procedure only took about 5 minutes since he only had to shift it and not remove it. Naruto finalized the chakra transfer by closing the seal and transferring the key over to Gaara while explaining the works of the new seal. It's done, Naruto said and both Kankuro and Temari rushed towards Gaara who was now sleeping peacefully. He's sleeping, Temari said. Of course he is, Naruto said getting up. The seal he has is the same as mine and it was developed by my father, Naruto explained. He hasn't slept since he was born, Temari said caressing her brother's face. He seemed so peaceful in his sleep. Thank you, Temari said and hugged Naruto while Kankuro patted his back. You are welcome, Naruto said. Take him to the Senju compound. My grandmother said you guys are welcome to stay there with us, Naruto said and they nodded. I'm off, Jiraiya said and disappeared in a poof of smoke. Damn pervert, Naruto muttered under his breath and lead everyone out of the house. He gave Temari and Kankuro directions towards the Senju compound since he now had another pervert to look for. See you guys later, Naruto said and activating his M's and swirling away. Damn. That was awesome, Kankuro said. Memorial stone Kakashi was once drowning himself on regret at the memorial stone. Even after Naruto had told him that he should put the past where it belonged, it seemed that he still couldn't. Kakashi was lost on his thoughts when he noticed a small swirl appear next to him. He instantly knew who it was as the swirl was very distinctive. "Yo Naruto," Kakashi said, greeting him. "You're still here," Naruto said as he stood in front of the memorial stone and did a quick prayer in honor of the deceased souls. "Yes I am," Kakashi simply said and ended it there. "I know what happened since you told me. But is it really for the best to pity yourself so much? I know you regret not being there for them, but you have to let go," Naruto said, and Kakashi sighed. "Easier said than done," Kakashi said. "So what brings you here?" Kakashi said, trying to change the mood as he didn't particularly want to talk about them. "I have the seal for your Sharingan eye," Naruto said, and Kakashi raised an eyebrow. "Really?" Kakashi asked, surprised, to which Naruto nodded. "So what do I need to do?" Kakashi asked. "Nothing. Just sit down since you are taller than me," Naruto said, and Kakashi chuckled and sat down on the ground. "Don't you need Jiraiya's help?" Kakashi asked. "He's busy," Naruto replied as he thought of what the pervert was currently doing. Quote, "Shanaru," a voice echoed through the whole village, but it seemed to originate at the hot springs. Naruto looked up at the sky and managed to see a mop of spiky white hair flying while crying anime tears. "He never learns," Naruto thought, sighing. "Close your eye while I draw the seal," Naruto said, and Kakashi did as he was told. He removed his Hitayat and kept his Sharingan eye closed. Naruto placed 2 fingers on his left temple and starting leaking the kanji. The seal twisted itself around his eyeball in a swirl pattern above his eyelid. "Fuin," Naruto said, and the seal glowed momentarily before cutting all the chakra into his eye, transforming into a pitch black eye that coincidentally matched his other one. "How does it feel to see color with both eyes?" Naruto asked as Kakashi gently rubbed his eye to get rid of a small itch. "It works," Kakashi said in fascination. "The eye is no longer draining my chakra and I can see perfectly," Kakashi said, standing up. "Good. Now let's try and activate the Sharingan. Channel chakra the seal on your left eyelid and he should activate," Naruto said. Kakashi channeled a small amount of chakra to the seal to deactivate it and the Sharingan flared to life. Naruto tried to punch Kakashi very fast and out of nowhere, but Kakashi managed to predict it. "Good. Seems that Sharingan is working properly," Naruto said, and activated his own Sharingan to analyze the seal's interaction with Kakashi's chakra network. Naruto noticed that Kakashi's chakra coils behind his eyes were abnormally large. "Your eye's chakra coils are extremely well developed. They come close to matching mine," Naruto said out loud. "It's no surprise, the Sharingan has been active for years," Kakashi said, shrugging his shoulders, but Naruto didn't think just that would affect it so much. "Rin sacrificed herself forcing me to kill her," Naruto remembered when he talked about Kakashi's teammates. "Kurama, do you think it's possible for a non-Uchiha to awaken the Mangekyo?" Naruto asked his partner. "It's a good question. The activation of the Mangekyo affects the body as a whole, and for someone who isn't an Uchiha is difficult to say," Kurama replied, and Naruto brought his hand to his chin. "Kakashi-sensei, can you do me a favor and channel more chakra into your eye?" Naruto asked, and Kakashi shrugged his shoulders and did just that. His Sharingan eye started glowing and spinning and seemed to want to start merging its kamas. "A bit more," Naruto said, and Kakashi channeled more chakra into his eyes. Slowly but surely the Sharingan started spinning and the kamas started stretching and fusing together. "Just as I thought," Naruto said, looking at Kakashi's Sharingan, who had turned into a Mangekyo. "Is something wrong?" Kakashi asked, slightly scared that he would lose the only thing that connected him to Obito. "You have a Mangekyo," Naruto said, and Kakashi's jaw dropped. Kakashi calmed himself and noticed that his perception with the Sharingan had increased. He now could see further and with more detail. "How is it possible?" Kakashi asked, confused. "Well, it's obviously a half-blood Mangekyo, but it's one nonetheless. I didn't think it was possible for a non-Uchiha to awaken it," Naruto explained, and they both headed towards a nearby lake so Kakashi could take a look at his new eye. "Looks like you got a brand new tool," Naruto said, chuckling at Kakashi, who was gapping like a fish. "What can it do?" Kakashi suddenly asked. He seemed like a kid on a sugar rush. "Each Mangekyo has its own abilities. I know how to use 3 of them and I can teach you them, but if you can use them depends on your eye," Naruto explained, and Kakashi nodded. "Another thing. These techniques require much more chakra than the standard Sharingan," Naruto said, and Kakashi nodded. Also, and this is very important, Naruto said with a serious tone. I belong to a half-blood, which means the more you use your Mangekyo the more your sight is affected, so you should leave it as a last resort, Naruto said, and Kakashi nodded, making a mental note on the implications of using his new eye. I can start teaching you now, or are you busy? Naruto asked, but Kakashi shook his head, getting ready to try his new eye. Let's begin with Kamui. Sundown. Senju compound. Naruto and Kakashi had spent the rest of the afternoon practicing their eyes. Naruto was using his Mangekyo and constantly spamming Amaterasu to further increase his power while reducing the cast time. All the while he was also teaching Kakashi how to use the powers. Of all the 3 powers that Naruto had, Kakashi only managed to learn Naruto's Kamui, and that was only partially. Kakashi could activate his Kamui to send objects to his own dimension but couldn't send his own body. Naruto quickly theorized that he needed both eyes to be able to dematerialize his body. Naruto explained Kakashi that he used his left eye for long-range Kamuis while he used his right eye for making himself intangible and close-range Kamuis. Based on these facts, it looked like Kakashi had received the long-range eye. In the end, it didn't matter. Kakashi had still received a very powerful gift, but this one was meant only for killing. Kakashi could transport objects into his dimension, but somehow he couldn't bring them back. Anything that was transported to his dimension would remain there for all eternity. Naruto channeled the remains of his chakra and used his Kamui to go towards the Senju compound. When you spend half a day spamming Amaterasu, you tend to exhaust yourself. At least he got his control better using the black flames. Naruto arrived near the compound gate and stayed there, astonished at the sheer magnitude of the place. The damn compound seemed to go on forever. He never thought that the compounds were this big. Sure, he had seen them on the outside, but standing inside one really placed things in perspective. Oh, Naruto-kun, Shizune said as she watched Naruto arrive and went to greet him. This place is huge, Naruto said, and Shizune giggled at his childish reaction. Yes, it is. When the village was founded, the Senju clan was on his prime and had many members, Shizune said. This compound has almost 100 rooms, not including bathrooms, storage rooms and training grounds, Shizune explained, and Naruto's eyes widened. 100 rooms. It's bigger than the Uchiha and Hyuga compound, Naruto thought, observing the buildings around them. Come on, Shizune said, motioning him to follow her. We will be all staying in the main house that is large enough for all of us. I'll take you on a tour, Shizune said, and Naruto followed. Naruto followed Shizune and she did a quick tour around the main house. It was a simple traditional house made of wood. It had 2 floors and a basement. The main house had 10 rooms, 4 bathrooms and a very large library. I'm checking it out, I'll meet you later, Naruto said, blurring away from Shizune and heading into the library. Shizune giggled at him as he watched him run towards the library. The library was very large and was filled with scrolls. Naruto was pretty much drooling at the prospect of being able to learn so many jutsus. Naru-kun, Hinata said, and Naruto turned around to see his beautiful girlfriend at the library's entrance. Can you believe how many jutsus are here? Naruto said to Hinata, who giggled at his reaction. He was always a sucker for learning new jutsu so he could blow stuff up. By the way, did you destroy the space bridge at the house? Naruto asked. His clones didn't know anything about it, and Naruto was wondering if Hinata had destroyed the seal at his house that allowed him to walk into the Namikaze compound. I did, don't worry, Hinata replied. Space bridge? The new voice asked, and Naruto turned around to see Tsunade walking towards them. Yes. It's like a portal of some sorts that I created and that allows, once activated, to simply walk through the portal and end up at the destination. Naruto explained. In my case, I created one that allowed me to go from my house to the Namikaze house and back simply by walking through the portal, Naruto said, and Tsunade hummed in thought. Can anyone use it? Tsunade asked. She was already thinking of the applications of such useful device. It was keyed to Mai and Hinata's blood, but it can be made for anyone. Why do you ask? Naruto asked. Because maybe you could place one that connected the Senju compound to the Hokage tower so I didn't have to walk all the way there, Tsunade explained. I don't exactly have space-time techniques like you, Tsunade said, scoffing at the other blonde. Of course, Ba-chan. I'll do it tomorrow, Naruto said, and Tsunade left along with Hinata, leaving Naruto to drown himself on jutsu scrolls. 30 minutes later. Naruto had spent half an hour skimming through the scrolls trying to learn something new. After all the time he came of the library scowling the whole Senju clan and muttering profanities against them, he in whole library he could only find jutsus related to earth and water jutsus. In almost 100 jutsus he didn't find any fire or lightning ones. He sighed and walked out of the library and went exploring the rest of the house. Naru-chan, Naruto heard Tsunade calling out, "Come to the kitchen for dinner." Naruto was happy, he never had anyone calling him for dinner except Hinata. Naruto ran through the halls with his Kamui phasing through the walls so he could reach it faster. Naruto arrived at the kitchen and saw everyone seated and waiting for him. There was Shizune, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Hinata and of course the Sand siblings. He walked calmly towards the table and sat down to eat. He was finally home. With his family. Valley of the End The Valley of the End. The place of the final showdown between Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, the place where Madara died and Hashirama emerged victorious. Or so everyone thinks. The valley remained pretty much untouched since the fight except for the addition of two gigantic statues. They represent the two fighters whose power could bring any country to its knees. They symbolize and honor those two legendary figures that left their mark in history. The statues of Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, each one doing the battle seal as if until this day they were still battling each other. On top of Uchiha Madara's head we find someone sitting there. The wind carried his cloak allowing everyone to see his clothes. He wore a black long-sleeve top that also covered his neck and chin, a pair of black gloves, and a pair of dark-colored pants. On his waist, he wore a thick black belt with armor-like metal plates attached to it. He also wore blue nail polish on his fingers and toes. But from all that, the most distinguishing feature he had was a strange mask he wore. The mask was strong orange in color and had a spiral pattern with a single hole for his right eye. The cloak itself was a high-colored black cloak with red clouds adorning it. The cloak pretty much said that this someone belonged to the mercenary group known as Akatsuki who, according to Jiraiya, were searching for the Biju. The figure seemed to be deep in thought as anyone could see. He was gazing into the emptiness of the sky as if trying to find the meaning of life. The same figure was seen walking through some cave in some unknown location. The figure stopped walking when he noticed two other figures approaching him. The first one had spiky orange hair with multiple metal piercings in his nose, ears and bottom lip, but what stood out were his eyes, silver eyes with concentric circles around the pupil. He was wearing the same black cloak with red clouds. The other figure was definitely female. She had blue hair, amber-colored eyes, lavender eye shadow, and a labrae piercing. In her hair she had a paper flower strapped to it. She was also wearing the same cloak as the other figure. "We need to talk." Madara, the orange spiky-haired figure said, watching very closely the figure with the orange mask. "Of course, Pain. Toby is a good boy," Toby said in a childish, almost high-pitched voice. Quote, "Enough with playing around," Pain said in a serious voice, making Toby instantly drop his childish ways and took a completely different stance. "We have some information that you forget to tell us," Pain explained. "And what is it?" Toby asked, but now his voice was more deep and serious. "Kisame and Itachi went to scout the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and heard the most interesting news," Pain cryptically said. "Don't play games with me and get to the point," Toby said. He didn't want to deal with Pain right now. "For starters, the Kyuubi claims to be Uchiha Madara's grandson," Pain said, and Toba's eyes widened. "Your grandson to be exact," Pain said, looking at Toby directly in his eye, waiting for his answer. "And what proof does he have of that?" Toby asked, trying to gain some time while his mind was running a mile per second trying to figure just what was happening. "The fact that he is an uncounted Sharingan user seems to help," Pain said in a monotone voice. "How very interesting. If that brat has a Sharingan, that could only mean that it came from Minato, as Kushina's family is very well documented," Toby mused in thought. "That would explain how back then he knew I wasn't Madara," Toby concluded in complete shock. "Even during his fight 14 years ago he never felt or saw Minato's Sharingan. That means I'm responsible for killing his only son," Toby unconsciously gulped. He hoped that Madara wasn't very attached to Minato, otherwise he would draw the short end of the stick. "This will require some adjustments," Toby thought. "Care to explain?" Pain stressed out, leaking a bit of killing intent to further drive his point. "This doesn't concern you," Toby flatly replied. "Madara," Pain stressed, "he has a Mangekyo and nearly killed both Kisame and Itachi, but they managed to escape," Pain explained. "Everything was going so well," Toby thought, sighing to himself. "And the brat has a Mangekyo and was strong enough to drive Itachi away. Serves him right," Toby thought, chuckling to himself. I see, Toby said, still thinking about everything. If Madara had told him about his grandson, he would be able to mold him into his weapon. Even better, as his grandson was the Jinchuriki of the strongest Biju. Anything else? Toby asked. Yes. He seems to have the same intangibility ability as you, Pain asked, and Toby was once again shocked. The brat was able to use Kamui. This would be a major setback, since anytime an Akatsuki member appears he can warp away safely. That will make him extremely difficult to capture, Toby said, shaking his head. He should have stayed in bed like a good boy. I want answers, Madara, Pain said with his voice slightly louder. I don't answer to you. You work for me, you would do well to remember, Toby said with a smirk and his Sharingan glowing. But I'll get to the end of this, Toby said, and swirled away, leaving a fuming Pain and the woman stoic at the encounter. I don't like this, the woman said, breaking her stoic face with one of suspicion. What proof do we have that he's even Madara? The woman asked. Everything matches Conan. His power, his knowledge, and his grandson bears the same Sharingan ability, Pain stated, but that didn't seem to ease Conan's doubts and worries. Let's forget this for now. Let's focus on our current task and the preparations for hunting down the Biju, Pain said, and both left the cave. Toby was knocked out of his thoughts when he sensed someone approaching. Although he knew very well who was approaching, he didn't let his guard down. A popular saying came to mind, there is no honor among thieves. Just because the approaching figure was his subordinate and belonged to the Akatsuki group, it doesn't mean he should be trusted. The figure was a tall, tanned, muscular man. He wore a white hood and a black mask, with his eyes being the only visible part of his face. Underneath, his mouth was stitched together at the edges and he had long dark brown hair. His eyes had an unusual coloring. Green irises, no pupils, and red sclera. His clothing included the traditional Akatsuki cloak and the forehead protector of his home village with a scratch in the middle which symbolized that he was no longer loyal to it. He also wore dark red nail polish, and his dark green Akatsuki ring with the kanji for north was placed on his left middle finger. His entire body was covered with various stitches and predominantly appeared to be sewn together. He was Kikuzu, an S-rank missing nin from Takigakure, as displayed by his scratched Hittite. Is everything set? Do you have the sacrifices? Toby asked. Yes. They are ready for leader to perform the technique, Kikuzu explained, sitting down next to Toby in the cliff. How do you know he'll tag along for the mission? Kikuzu asked. You forget that Zetsu has spies everywhere. His spy network puts even Jiraiya's to shame, Toby explained with a smirk. Zetsu was a member of the Akatsuki, however he wasn't the fighting type and was more the intelligence-gathering one. Fair enough, Kikuzu said, agreeing with Toby. Do you remember your primary objective? Toby asked. Failure is not an option. He's crucial to my plans, Toby pointed out. I don't know why you need him, but who am I to question that? How hard can it be? Kikuzu rhetorically asked. But how can you be sure he'll go along with it? Kikuzu asked. It's not as if his objective was hard to accomplish, but it was very tricky. There's a reason why pride is a sin. With the right incentive it makes people malleable, Toby cryptically said, watching the skies. What about the secondary objective? Kikuzu asked. The funds are always good for the Akatsuki, and his chakra would also benefit our plans as a backup, Toby explained, meaning. Don't fail either, Toby said, leaking out killing intent. I've never failed a mission, Kikuzu said in a strong and firm voice. I'll be watching, Toby said, swirling away. Let's get the show on the road, Kikuzu said, getting up and heading towards the midst of the fire country. Konoha, Senju compound 12 hours earlier. It was a beautiful day in Konoha. It was warm and sunny all over. The sun was coming up, shining upon Konoha as the merchants were opening their stores to start up a fresh new day. A few sunrays broke through the village's barrier and started waking up people inside the houses. This was the unfortunate event for Naruto. The room was dark and a few beams passed through the window and hit him right in the eyes, waking him up from his slumber. He released a small yawn and tried to shift in bed, but realized that he couldn't move. He looked down and smiled at his princess snuggled next to him, resting her head in his shoulder. One of the things he enjoyed most was waking up with Hinata next to him, feeling her warmth against his body, caressing her soft hair. They hadn't had much time alone in the last 2 weeks, with his pervert of a godfather hanging around. While he was caressing her hair, she started to stir and slightly opened her eyes. She noticed that Naruto was looking at her with a warm smile. She returned the smile just before she closed her eyes again and placed her head on his chest, releasing a sigh of bliss and happiness. They stayed there for a few minutes just enjoying the warmth of each other, both happy they had each other in their lives. "How do you like our new room?" Naruto softly asked, still running his hands through her hair. He noticed that even though her hair was a mess from sleeping, she still looked beautiful to him, perhaps even more. The room itself wasn't overly large, but it was sufficient for a couple. The bed was obviously for 2 persons, they had a nightstand on each side. A closet was embedded in the wooden wall with enough space for all their clothes. Their room also had a private bathroom and small room they decided to use for scrolls and weapons. "I guess it's okay. The pillow is still the same though," Hinata said, giggling, and Naruto chuckled. The pillow in this case would either be his chest or shoulders, since Hinata usually would wake up resting her head in one of them. "You know we have to get up," Naruto sadly said. "I don't want to." 5 more minutes, Hinata cutely pouted, drawing circles in his chest, trying to persuade him to sleep and cuddle a bit more. "How about I get a shadow clone to bring us breakfast to bed?" Naruto asked, and Hinata quickly nodded. She was about to reply when Naruto placed a finger in her soft lips. "Breakfast for a kiss," Naruto said, and Hinata quickly replied, giving him a passionate kiss. "That will do," Naruto said, chuckling, and made a shadow clone to prepare the breakfast so they could eat together. Not even 5 minutes later, Naruto's clone appeared in the room with a tray filled with juice, bread and some fruit. Naruto sat up and easily placed Hinata between his legs with her back to his chest. They happily ate their breakfast since they didn't have any major concerns. They didn't have anything scheduled for today, and as such they could enjoy the day or maybe get a mission. "So what do you want to do today?" Naruto asked while smearing some butter on bread and starting to eat it. "Don't really know. Do you want to get a mission or something?" Hinata asked while drinking some orange juice. Naruto pondered getting a mission, but then he remembered that they were both Chunins and, as such, their sensei Kurenai would be no more. "We are both Chunins, so Kurenai is no longer our sensei," Naruto explained, and Hinata realized that what Naruto said was true. Right after the Chunin's exams and promotions, they both left on a mission, so they didn't realize that Team 8 was no more. "What now?" Hinata asked, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders. "How about we swing by Ba-chan's office to find out?" Naruto said, and looked towards the clock in the nightstand. "It's past 10 o'clock, so Ba-chan should already be in her office." "Damn, we really overslept," Naruto said, chuckling. They weren't used to sleeping in as they had team meetings before. "I didn't mind," Hinata innocently replied. "I bet you didn't," Naruto tried to say with a serious face, but laughed nonetheless. They finished their breakfast, and Naruto made another shadow clone to take the stuff to the kitchen, while all the way muttering something about lucky originals. "Let's get up," Naruto said, and was about to get up when Hinata shifted her weight and ended on top of him, pinning him to the bed. "We aren't going anywhere," Hinata said, giggling like a mad person that made poor Naruto shiver. "What are you going to do now?" Hinata teased. Naruto smirked before his eyes flashed to his M's and activated his Kamui. He phased right through the bed and reappeared in the middle of the room with a smirk. "That's not fair," Hinata said, throwing him a pillow that phased through him as well, making Hinata pout. "All is fair in love and war," Naruto wisely said, and Hinata stared at him. She sighed and got out of bed. They both got dressed and left the Senju compound, heading towards the Hokage's office. They needed to find their status as of now. Hokage's office #. Naruto and Hinata made their way towards the Hokage tower and up the stairs. They reached the office's entrance to see Shizune by the desk. "Shizune-chan, you are Ba-chan's secretary now?" Naruto asked, and she nodded, going through paperwork. "Poor you," Naruto said, chuckling. "Is Ba-chan busy?" Naruto asked. "No. You can go ahead," Shizune said, stamping another paper and placing it in a nearby stack. Naruto and Hinata walked up to the door and entered to see Tsunade buried in paperwork, with Hiruzen nearby smoking his pipe without a care in the world. It looked like Hiruzen left the paperwork build up when he asked Jiraiya to go search for Tsunade. Hiruzen would have liked to read his Ika book, but it might prove dangerous with Tsunade nearby. "Morning, Ba-chan, old man," Naruto said, greeting his grandmother and the old Hokage. Tsunade looked up from all the paperwork, noticed Naruto and Hinata standing in front of her. "Hey Naru-chan, Hinata," Tsunade said, and Naruto sighed. He couldn't get his grandmother from calling him that. On the other hand, Naruto called her Ba-chan, meaning she would be old, which she didn't like, so it was an eye for an eye. "What brings you to my nightmare?" Tsunade asked, and Naruto pondered telling her about shadow clones, but decided to hold it for later as a trump card. "I'm evil," Naruto thought, chuckling darkly to himself. Actually, we are wondering what will happen to us since we are both Chunins and currently without a team, Naruto said, and Tsunade stopped her work. She brought her hand to her chin, deep in thought. For starters, Aburame Shino didn't get promoted to Chunin. As such, he was placed on Team 10 with Yamanaka Ino and Akamichi Choji under Sarutobi Asuma, Tsunade explained before picking another paper. Regarding Team 7 under Hitaki Kakashi, they will be on hold until we find a genin to complete the cell. In the meantime, Uchiha Sasuke will still be part of said team when not on Chunin's affairs, Tsunade said, and both nodded. Team 9 didn't get promoted, so they would continue on standard mission like the new Team 10. That means our old team is permanently disabled, Hinata said. What about Kurenai-sensei? Hinata asked. She will be returning to her normal life as Junin until she decides to take another genin team, Tsunade explained, and Hinata nodded. Without a genin team, Kurenai would most likely be more time away from the village. What about us? Naruto asked. I was getting to that, Tsunade started. Both of you will most likely be paired with other Chunin or Junin for missions until we find a stable team, if any, Tsunade explained, and both nodded. What about Gaara and his siblings? Naruto asked, and Tsunade got a tick mark from all the questions preventing her from doing her work and enjoying her sake. They are Team 11 under Mitarashi Enko since Tamari relies on her fan and Kankuro on his puppet and poisons, Tsunade explained. I just hope she doesn't turn Gaara back to his crazy state. I kinda feel sorry for them. Perhaps killing them would have been more merciful, Naruto thought, shivering at his previous encounters with the crazy snake lady. Do you want to grab a mission while we are here? Naruto turned and asked Hinata. We don't have anything planned, might as well, Hinata replied, and Naruto agreed, pumping his fist into the air. Mission it is. Ba-chan, do you have any mission for us? Naruto asked, and Tsunade shook her head in defeat. She was buried in paperwork and had yet to decide on the newer teams. I guess I will just pick up the new Chunins and place them together, Tsunade thought before shifting through the papers, pulling out the newer promotions. Shizune, Tsunade called out. Yes, Tsunade-sama, Shizune asked, entering the office. Get me Nara Shikamaru and Uchiha Sasuke, Tsunade said, and Shizune left to summon both shinobi to her office. What do you need those two for? Naruto asked, but he already had a suspicion. They will be your teammates for the next mission, Tsunade and Naruto sighed. Hiruzen cringed slightly because he knew the history behind those two. I hope Sasuke doesn't give much trouble, Naruto muttered under his breath. What was that? Tsunade asked as she didn't hear Naruto. It's just that Sasuke and me don't get along, Naruto simply said. Oh. My little Naru-chan is acting like a senju. He already hates the Uchihas, Tsunade said, wiping out a fake tear. Hiruzen and Hinata chuckled, and Naruto shook his head at his grandmother's antics. By the way, you are both in the newest edition of the bingo book, Hiruzen said, throwing him the book. Really? Naruto rhetorically asked, opening the book. Let me guess. Iwa, Naruto said, and Hiruzen sadly nodded. Congratulations. You both have targets on your heads now, Tsunade said with sarcasm evident in her voice. Pages 112 and 113 inches, Hiruzen said, and Naruto quickly found his record. Name: Senju Naruto. Age: 14. Alias: Konoha no Raijin. Status: Elite Chunin. Village affiliation: Konohagakure no Sato. Rank: S. Bloodline: Sharingan. Known elemental affinities: Wind, Fire, Lightning. Weapons: Uchiha Madara's Gunbai. It's a wide fan with 3 blood-red tomos on each side. It has a long handle with bandages wrapped around the base. The main part of the weapon is light brown with the edges being black. Abilities: Taijutsu, Junin Cage level Ninjutsu, Cage level Fuinjutsu, Seal Master Genjutsu, Junin level. Summoning Contract, Fox, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko. Other known abilities: Senju Naruto was seen performing both the Rasengan and Hirishin no Jutsu, techniques created by Yondaime Hokage. Also has the ability to transform his chakra into golden chains strong enough to hold Shukaku in place. Physical description: stands at 5 feet 7 inches with long mid-back blonde spiky hair, which partially covers right eye, and deep blue eyes with 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Usually wears orange pants and dark blue combat sandals. He also wears skin-tight black shirt with Anbu chest plate over it. Known relationships: Uchiha Madara, paternal grandfather status, deceased Nami Kase Minato, father status, deceased Senju Kushina, mother status, deceased Senju Tsunade, Maternal grandmother status. God I'm Hokage Hyuga Hinata. Rumored girlfriend status. Chunin, see next page bounties. Iwa. Wanted alive 50 million Ryo. Suna and Oto. Wanted dead or alive 10 million Ryo approach with extreme caution. Damn. They are well informed, Naruto said after reading his page. Although I like my alias, Konoha no Raijin has a nice ring to it, Naruto said chuckling and handed the book over to Hinata. You do realize you just made enemies from 3 villages, Tsunade said with a serious voice. I know. Though I wonder why Iwa wants me alive, Naruto mused out loud. Probably so they can skin you, Hiruzen said chuckling making Naruto glare at the old man. What about you Hina-chan? Naruto asked and Hinata looked up from the book and showed it to him. Name. Hyuga Hinata age, 14. Alias. Shino Megami status, Chunin. Village affiliation. Konohagakure no Sato rank, A. Bloodline. Byakugan. Known elemental affinities. Wind, water weapons, twin trench knives abilities. Taijutsu. Cage level, unknown technique that kills the enemy with a single touch ninjutsu. Junin level, very skilled in water manipulation fuinjutsu. Unknown genjutsu, unknown. Summoning contract, unknown. Other known abilities, known to be able to disable Jinchuriki with some seal technique. Uses weapons coated with deadly poisons. Physical description, stands at 5 feet 4 inches with Heim-cut style dark blue hair and Byakugan eyes. She wears a cream-colored hooded jacket with fur around the cuffs and hem, with navy blue pants. Known relationships. Hyuga Hana. Mother status, deceased. Hyuga Hiyashi. Father status, Junin. Hyuga clan head Hyuga Hanabi. Younger sister status, academy student. Senju Naruto. Rumored boyfriend status, elite Chunin, see previous page bounties. Suna and Oto. Wanted dead or alive 5 million Ryo don't approach if below high Junin level do not engage in taijutsu. I like my alias better, Hinata happily said handing the book to Naruto. She no Megami Naruto said and hugged Hinata. I guess I can't call you princess anymore, Naruto whispered and kissed her. Cough Tsunade fake a cough and cleared her throat to separate the couple before this could escalate. Yes. You will have to be extra careful with bounty hunters as of now, Tsunade said. Even the lowest bounty of 5 million Ryo is enough to attract a lot of attention, Tsunade explained. Quote, yes but I'm ranked as a cage level shinobi and Hinata is an elite Junin 1. We won't go down easy, Naruto said and Tsunade shook her head. Idiot. Don't let the fame get to your head, Tsunade said and Naruto waved his hands in defeat not wanting to be punched. Knock knock. Come in, Tsunade said shifting her attention to the door. The door opened and in came the brooding Uchiha Sasuke and the lazy-ass Nara Shikamaru. They were both wearing the Chunin flak jacket and Anbu black pants. You called Hokage-sama, Shikamaru said yawning. It was supposed to be a peaceful day for Shikamaru but the Hokage had different plans for him. Yes, I have a mission for the 4 of you, Tsunade said. It will be a B rank maybe a rank depending on the opposition, Tsunade explained and they all nodded. Naru-chan, you will be the team leader since you hold higher rank, Tsunade explained. New. Don't call me that in public, Naruto pleaded and even the almighty Sasuke snickered. You see. You even made the emo brooding king laugh, Naruto stated glaring at his grandmother. You have a problem Naru-chan, Sasuke said in a teasing tone. Shut up Baka, Naruto said and Sasuke scoffed. Moving on, Tsunade said diffusing the situation before it escalated. Your mission is to protect and escort the daimyo's grandson to the fire temple where he will link up with the daimyo. Since the 12 shinobi guardian are down to 4 members they can't spare anyone from their side so the task falls to us, Tsunade explained and everyone nodded. Call him in and tell him that I have an escort team ready, Tsunade and Shizune nodded. About 20 minutes later a young teen walked in the Hokage's office. He looked like he was about 15 maybe 16 years old. He had light blue eyes, with short and straight black hair that ended just around his neck. He was wearing a white kimono with dark red edges. On the kimono were floral designs in a different shade of red. This is Kenshin-sama, the fire daimyo's grandson, Tsunade pointed out and everyone from Naruto's team did a small bow in sign of respect. This is my escort. Kenshin asked in disbelief. A bunch of kids younger than me, Kenshin said and Sasuke scoffed. I'm a member of the Uchiha clan. We are not weak, Sasuke stated with pride in his clan. I seriously doubt that. Wasn't the whole Uchiha clan massacred by one of their own and a 13-year-old at that? Kenshin explained and Sasuke's anger was boiling. Naruto decided to intervene before Sasuke shoved a Chidori through the person that they had to protect. I'm Naruto, leader of the team. I assure you we are more than capable of protecting you, Naruto said in a formal and courteous voice. You seem even weaker than the Uchiha, Kenshin stated in Naruto's side. What exactly was this kid's problem with us? He should know better than to underestimate shinobi, as he should have plenty of interaction with the Guardian 12. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered. I'll personally guarantee your safety during our mission, Hinata said in a formal and stoic voice. It seemed she still remembered all the harsh etiquette training she received from her clan. Hello beautiful, Kenshin said approaching Hinata. How did I miss you? Kenshin asked while bowing and kissing Hinata's hand. Naruto's eye was twitching and he was considering running a Chidori through Kenshin himself. Hands off my girlfriend, Naruto growled and Kenshin raised an eyebrow. Be nice Naru-kun, Hinata said removing her hand from Kenshin's grasp. You dare talk to me in such casual manner, peasant? Kenshin asked with a smirk. Naruto by now was releasing killer intent on the annoying Kenshin. Why would such a beauty associate with you? Kenshin asked, further angering him. That's it, Naruto said and quickly placed a hand on Kenshin's shoulder and warped him away into his Kamui dimension. Ah. Much better, Naruto said and everyone stared at him. He just sent the daimyo's fucking grandson somewhere. Naruto. What did you do? Tsunade asked while everyone else was still staring at the blonde who was acting like nothing had happened. We are supposed to escort him, right? Naruto asked and Tsunade nodded. What safer place than my personal pocket dimension? I'm the only who has access to it, Naruto explained and Tsunade shook her head. Get him back here, Tsunade said and Naruto shrugged his shoulders. He used his Kamui and brought him back to the real world. Where did you send me to? It was so dark and quiet, Kenshin said as he arrived and immediately stumbled to the ground keeping a safe distance from Naruto and started sucking on his right thumb while rocking himself. They will be your escort team. This is Naruto as you have met, Uchiha Sasuke, Hyuga Hinata and Nara Shikamaru, Tsunade explained and Kenshin nodded in defeat embracing his fate. Also Naruto, there is another thing you have to worry about, Tsunade said and Naruto's team focused on her. Kenshin-sama has a bounty on his head due to his bloodline, so be extra careful, Tsunade explained and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Bloodline. Are you a shinobi? Naruto asked. I have no shinobi training. I just know how to use chakra so I can control my bloodline, Kenshin explained and Naruto nodded. Can you tell us about it? Shikamaru asked. Every bit of information was valuable even as irrelevant as it may seem. It's called Maiden and with it I can absorb, manipulate and release someone else's chakra, Kenshin said while showing everyone the palm of his hands. In his palm was a mark that looked like two diamonds overlapping each other. Interesting, Hiruzen said. That is a very useful bloodline, Hiruzen said smoking on his pipe. With the proper training and skill this bloodline would render any ninjutsu attacks against the user harmless. Although sometimes I can't absorb elemental attacks. I don't really understand why, Kenshin said sighing and everyone nodded. You have your mission, get going, Tsunade said and Naruto nodded and turned to address his team. You heard the Hokage, pack for 2 weeks as we will be traveling at civilian pace. Meet at the North Gate in 1 hour, Naruto said and everyone left the Hokage's office to pack and start their new mission. Looks like Naru-chan really did grow up into a good person, Tsunade softly said. Hinata really did wonders for him while his was growing up, Hiruzen said. And the brat is already stronger than me, Tsunade said scoffing. Can you imagine how strong he will be when he reaches his prime? Tsunade rhetorically asked and Hiruzen shivered. Naruto was a cage-level shinobi at 14 years old. What level would he be when he reached his prime in around 3 to 4 years? That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.